Good morning, guys. I thought I'd let you know I'm up at the cabin again, getting ready for, batten down the hatches for the winter. So I thought I'd give you guys an update about what's going on at the cabin here in the fall. So here's my little garden here in the fall. It's actually had a second wind after all that drought. As you can see, these guys are great. Look how much they're flowering again. This is October. How cool is that? There you can see my little iris there. And the foxglove is really taking off. So that's the plant here and here. So I'm so glad that nothing really keeled over during this drought this year. So here's my little box garden. Remember that? So the peas did really well. Every time I came up, I had a bunch of peas to nibble on. They're still looking pretty green, actually. Here's my Swiss chard. So I've been, pulling this off, putting it in sandwiches and stuff like that. That did well. Obviously not really tall because, I don't water it. And nor do I really fertilize a lot in here other than the manure. But look over here. Wow! Look at these radishes. These are heirloom radishes. They're called French breakfast radish. Let's pull one out. Oh yeah, look at that. That turned out so well. You normally think of them coming up a little bit earlier in the season, but our growing season's really short here. With the drought and everything, didn't really have a lot of production early on in the season. But look at that. That's a huge radish. And there's a bunch of them, all through here. So I'm gonna. Oh yeah, look right here. Another big guy right there. Oh yeah, look at that. Fabulous. So I'm gonna go through and harvest all these guys. That's great. Now the one thing that didn't really do quite well as I thought it would with the carrots. I mean, look at little tiny carrot down here. Let's pull them out and see what's going on. It's probably like a thread. Oh yeah, there's my little carrot. That's hilarious. Oh well, what can you do? And look at these juicy radishes. They're gonna be great in sandwiches. I'm going to leave my little Swiss chard in there for a bit longer. It seems to be pretty tolerant of cooler weather, so just kind of pick it as I need it for sandwiches. I'll also be planting the 150th anniversary commemorative tulip bulbs. I'll make a little garden. I've got about 50 bulbs, so that'll be pretty coming up in the spring. And I'm going to be planting a bit of winter wheat in the field. Just a small patch to see if it'll work. I'm not sure if it will. We're right on shield. Our soil depths aren't that great. Neither is our soil's pretty feeble. I'm going to have to fertilize a lot. But we'll see if it goes okay. Well, I'm just going to plant these tulip bulbs all around in the forest here. So when they come up, it'll be pretty nice. So they go in about 6 inches deep and about 4 inches apart. So winter wheat needs to be planted into a stubble of some sort, just so that it basically is sheltered from the snow. The cool thing about winter wheat is that when you plant it, it germinates over the coming several weeks before the ground freezes. So it puts in a sturdy root system and then it overwinters underneath the snowpack. Then it's ready for harvest in the spring. In our area, it's ideal to plant it middle to the end of September. It's the first week of October here right now, so we're a little bit late. Well, I'll see if this works. So we're just doing a really small plot this year just to test out how this is going to work. It does need to be planted in between stubble of some sort. So if you had another crop, you would typically plant it, once you harvest it, you leave the stubble on there and then you plant it in rows between that stubble to protect it from wind and snow. Seeding depth I'm going to use is about 1 inch or so. You can go down to about 2.5 inches, but certainly I want it to germinate and pop up within the next 8 or so days. If you plant it deeper, what I was reading is that it will take about 4 to 5 weeks to kind of reach the surface. Maybe a little bit late in this area. So it's just an experiment. We'll see what happens. Another fall task is burning off the wick. Last year we used it a lot. So you'll end up with this sort of black grit on top of the wick. So I've just completed the process here. So what I had to do was I had to raise this wick, I had to light it, burn it off until it stopped burning, and then light it again. And then basically, now the wick is nice and soft at the top. If you leave that black stuff on there, then it just gets really stinky and you get that black smoke when you're burning the kerosene. So it's a really important job to make sure you service this after several hours of use so that you have a nice soft wick again and you're not really burning all that black junk at the top. So last week I got some mail. It was a nice surprise. You can see in this box here I got some trail cameras. Dave Vandermeer was so kind to give me some of these. These are some of his old retired trail cams that aren't in use anymore. Dave has a hunting and fishing lodge in northern Manitoba and offers hunting and fishing expeditions. If you're interested in what he has to offer, let me know and I can put him in touch with you. Thank you very much, Dave. I really, really appreciate it. Dave knows I like watching wildlife through my trail cams, and it was so kind to give these to me. So I'm going to put them up this morning, and I've got lots of good locations where I know there's a lot of signs, so I'm hoping to get some excellent photographs. Well, there he was. I've been following him around all morning. He's pretty used to me now. He's been around for over a year in this area. So I'm setting up a couple of trail cams on a few of his drumming logs. You saw him last year on my video, grouse drumming. So I'm going to set some up here. There's a really big log behind me that he likes to drum on, and there's also one up by the shed that he was drumming on this morning that I caught him there. So I just saw him in here and he started following me around a little bit. From a distance, obviously, still not 100% sure of me, but he's not flying off when he's within, I don't know, 10-15 feet of me. So anyway, I guess he's getting a little habituated. So here's the big drumming log that he likes to drum on. I find there's a second season when they start drumming in the fall. I know that's the lighting or the temperature, but it kind of tricks him into thinking it's mating season again. Although this guy was actually drumming in July as well, so he's a little confused. Anyway, so I'm just going to set up the trail cam here on this dead log behind me. This old stump right here is perfect because it'll look straight down his log. Just make sure you turn it on. Then we'll test to see if it's going to line up here. Remember to line up the lenses and take a picture. Perfect. So I'll just show you. You can see there, got a nice look down the log. Next, I'm going to head off to a little hollow underneath a tree. You guys remember Porcupine and his morning routine? That's where I'm headed. So I'm going to get a lot of animals that check out little dens and burrows and hollows and stuff like that. So we're just going to go check it out and put up a trail cam. And here we are, coming up on it. Doesn't look very used, but animals do come by here and check it out. Hang out for the night. Make sure there's nothing in there. Like a bear cub or something. A little bit too small for that, but there you go. There. Looks like the other side was dug out. Interesting. Alright, we'll see who's coming by to check this place out. And it's all set up. There are some really cool mushrooms. I love the color on these guys. Probably fairly toxic. There's a bunch over here as well. So when I'm putting up trail cameras, Cam's working on the tiles for the front of the cabin. A few more to go and then we'll put them all in. A few of you guys were asking about just going over in a bit more detail this little homemade sawmill here. So we're just in the middle of sawing up a log of aspen. We chopped down last fall. So it sort of dried out for the year. Now we're kind of cutting it up. See the lovely texture there. Heartwood down the middle. So the wooden parts are made out of 2x6s. You can see these two right here. And this is 4x4 on either side. Just sort of make these legs here to support it. And so that you can move this up and down to get the exact cut that you want on the wood. These little holes right here. And this little cross piece. It's got a notch there to hold the log, and you can use a log dog to kind of anchor it in place. And as you cut, you can raise and lower this by the exact amount that you want to cut for log thickness, but don't forget the kerf of the blade to add into your calculations. The rail is made of 2x2 steel square tubing, and it's anchored to the 4x4 post with all round. The steel square tube is 14 feet long, so theoretically you can comfortably kind of cut a 12-foot log. It's got two of these sort of set up on either side. And again, down here you've got a little notch there to kind of grab the log. And the same footing set up on this side. Set it up how you want. And now to this old beast. This is a 50cc chainsaw. It's a little Poulin Pro. Apparently that's the Husqvarna homeowners series, I guess. It has an 18-inch bar on it with a ripping chain. You can see it's going right down there. And it's just made this little cage here with 1-inch square tubing that's welded together. And for extra weight, because it didn't work without that extra weight, we used all round to put some weight over the bar. This setup here with the wheels is basically what you'd use for clothesline. 6-inch, 1/2-inch wide pulley wheels. And there's 4 of them. So when you fire up the chainsaw, you very slowly drive it down the rails like that. You go through a lot of gas actually when you're doing this, because it's a lot of strain on this little chainsaw, but it works out. Here all the wood is now stacked and ready to continue its drying process. See little wedges in there to keep the board separated out. We'll put a tarp over this so it doesn't get rained on. It continues to dry. The pine trees, we have about 16 out of the original 40 planted that survived the severe drought we had this year. Keeping in mind, we're not here to water them or tend to them, so they have to fend for themselves out here in the field, which was really basically sunny all summer with just a few millimeters of rain each month. So I'm very impressed actually that 16 of them survived. I figure if 16 survived, that's pretty good given how severe the drought was that we had this summer. You know, with full-on sun for a few months, very minimal amount of rain that we had, you know, a few millimeters each month. You know, it's a miracle that they actually lived. We aren't here to tend them, so they're on their own. I figure if they've survived this drought, they'll be good for another 200 years of brutal weather. Here's my little pet weasel. Hope you guys enjoyed today's fall update at the cabin. Lots more work to do, but it's lots of fun. This is my favorite time of year. No bugs, nice and cool, and spectacular colors this year. So lots to be thankful for. All right, everyone, have a great week as always, and we'll see you next time. Take care.